Serious, lawyers at Reddit, what case do you wish you had lost? When I was an insurance defense attorney, there was a guy who sued one of my clients after she hit his car and hurt his neck. He was legitimately hurt bad enough to where he couldn't do his job anymore. I had to defend her and I did a good job from her and her insurance company's perspective, and all he got was his past medical bills. The jury should have given him a lot more than that. And I have felt bad about that for years. Personal feeling or opinions have no place when the case is actually being run. We signed up to be professionals in the justice system. That is doubly reason for us to be objective and leave our personal feelings out. Yes. Behind the scene we all have our opinions on clients, be it positive or negative. But when it comes to actually conducting the case, we separate this very clearly. It seems the OP is somewhat hinting to the criminal case direction. I helped a super racist arsonist mass murder that burned down an orphanage. Many of us do other matters and probably don't even litigate. Many matters also settle before court. Was a labor lawyer for some time and we had a no exception policy against using the company credit card for personal expenses. Everyone knows you get fired for it because they beat it into you with frequent training, make you sign stuff, etc. We fired a guy who was a few months from retirement, and his union filed for arbitration. Arbitration is kind of a joke, and any labor lawyer will tell you that no arbitrator would uphold that termination even if the guy wasn't near retirement. We won. Due to the way the pension worked. The fact he left before he reached 55 led to a massive pension discount. Like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Oh. By the way, his offense was filling up his car with gas using company card because he had left his personal card somewhere and was going to run out of gas. On the other side of the coin, I had many employees do insane things like hide and sleep at work for 40 hours. Lead to a 30,000 gallon gasoline spill. Fighting. Death threats. etc. who all got their jobs back through arbitration. Right before taking my bar exam in Germany, I was working in a small law firm as a law apprentice. There was one case which was given to me because it was considered unwinnable, but the client insisted on pushing through. The case was about an elderly lady who sold her cat because she was too sick to take care of her. The buyer of the cat, our client, a rather wealthy lady, took the cat to the vet right after buying it. Apparently the cat needed $2,000 worth of surgeries. She hired us to collect those $2,000 from the old lady. She was really an unpleasant woman, to say at least. She acted without even the slightest bit of remorse or empathy. She knew exactly in what situation the old lady was, because she was the one who informed us about it. Nevertheless, we won the case pretty quick, even though our client didn't have a leg to stand on. I used to prosecute neglect cases in big city in America for child protection services. After a few high-profile cases where young kids ended up dead at the hands of family members, CPS starting asking us to file on pretty much everybody. I understand why, but I wish they would have stood up to the bad press instead of allowing it to dictate who they brought to court. From that point on, I would say about half my cases, even though a cause of action existed, I felt guilty for winning. Edit. Location removed. No thanks, ethics committee. Well, once you've taken a case, more realistically, it was given to you. You have no choice but to do whatever you think is necessary for the best interests of your client. To do anything less open you up to a malpractice lawsuit. Also, don't forget there are lawyers on both sides of the case with the same duty to their clients. So in the end, the winning side is simply the one that put forward a stronger case. Former public defender. None. Several I wish I had won or gotten a better result. But none I won or got a good result and wish it had gone the other way. I had plenty of people re-offend or do other crazy shitty, but that's on them. I handled a case for a friend. His landlord was a terrible woman, and she refused to renew their lease. When he moved out, there were allegations that he completely trashed the house. 2 months later, she filed suit against him for the damages. However, the lease required her to return his security deposit. or provide an accounting of why it was withheld. Within 30 days, she didn't. Under the law, she then lost any right to withhold it because she failed to end the accounting. I countersued and she had to pay his full deposit, all of his costs, and all of my attorney fees. But I can't really say I wish I had lost. She should have done what was required. And I am way too competitive to ever wish I had lost. I always thought it would be cool to be a lawyer until I had to pay $63,000 in attorney fees over the course of 2 years for custody of my daughter. Now I'm not complaining so much about the money. More so about watching her attorney try to turn a turd into a piece of gold. No matter how irrefutable the evidence against her was, I wouldn't be able to live with myself asleep at night defending on cases like that where I would potentially be trying to return children to drugs, RP, abuse, neglect, and etc. With all these comments saying that these sort of cases don't exist, I think that the best example of it happening would be with lawyers representing hospitals. Most of their cases involve misconduct from doctors where a patient feels mistreated, and fighting against families who have clearly been mistreated and damaged every day just to save the hospital a couple bucks would be so difficult. Not all cases would be like this, but when they do arise, I definitely regret getting a lighter settlement than what they deserve, or even worse, a dismissal. None of them. I want to win. I knew though that I'd have a tougher time not being emotionally engaged with family law and crime and anything else really emotive, and so forge a career where it's companies and cash at stake. Now I work in-house as a litigator for a multinational co covering disputes throughout the world. I always do make sure that if we're thinking of litigating in a funky country that the penalties aren't inhumane. No interest in someone getting executed or flogged for messing with the company. Defended a friend for a DUI because it was near on the end of the world for them and I thought it was a good eye-opener for her. Got her off prosecution with a 12-month good behavior bond. They still continue to drink and drive. Seeing lots of armchair lawyers in here. But I can tell you the cases we often wish we lost. The ones where clients don't pay their damn bills. Actually getting paid is one of the most stressful parts of practicing. None. I'm competitive AF. There's some that I wish I didn't take. But I hate losing. Someone mentioned clients that don't pay. I work for a pretty large organization and luckily don't deal with the invoice process. But I've heard that from many of my schoolmates. Client hired IT consultants from another consulting firm. The firm basically found qualified people and rented them out. Sort of like a recruiter, but they get fees forever. Common in IT consulting. Client eventually thought he was paying too much, even though he agreed to it, and stopped paying. He owed $200K. In NJ, you need to be licensed as a consulting firm. If you're not, you can't sue for your unpaid bills. They sued anyway. Tried to argue some loopholes. He won. Client paid nothing beyond my legal fees. Was I happy I won? Met. Gave me a great story. Great for my reputation. Doesn't feel great helping out a douchebag though. I'm an underling who had no role in being able to reject the case. So that was a little bit of a consolation at least. Edit. Clarity. Anybody who says they wish they would have lost the case because of something that happened as part of the case is probably an asshole. To be honest. No. Winning a case for someone that probably did something terrible isn't a bad thing, and anybody who thinks it is just doesn't understand the legal profession. Doctors of Reddit. What patient do you wish had died? The closest thing I have is a defendant who was in custody pending trial. Won the case. He was released and hanged himself at home about 2 weeks later. That's the closest. But I still don't wish I had lost.
Bye.